we just wanted to take the chance to round up everything we've done this year and also thank our community members for everything that they've done this year to make the Mud, Lattice, Redstone, Sky Strife ecosystem so vibrant. So a quick agenda. First, Ludens will be presenting about Redstone. Kushaba will be presenting about Sky Strife. Alvarez will be presenting about Mud. We also have a very fun Mud projects reel to share with you all. And after that, we just have a couple of quick announcements. So with all of that said, I will hand things off to Ludens.
All right, thank you so much, Vera. Let's get going. So, I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit about Redstone. So, quick thumbs up, Elena. Can everybody see my screen?
I don't see it.
No.
Don't see it. All right, cool. Good that I checked. Let's see. Let's try again. Working now?
Yes.
Yes, beautiful. All right.
Yep.
So, as you might have heard, during DEF Connect, we announced our work on layer 2. So we've been working for the last year on this network called Redstone, which is a chain that has been specifically designed and optimized for on-chain game and on-chain worlds. So since we shipped Redstone, or at least the Redstone testnet on Holski during DEF Connect, a bunch of stuff have happened. And I kind of want to quickly go over that and talk through a little bit like what our plans will be next year. So as a reminder, one of the philosophy of Lattice is to not worry about the gas. All the way like a year and a half ago, we had this autonomous world residency organized in London, and a lot of, I mean, that's where like some say that's where Small Brain Game got started. So it was a huge historical moment. But a lot of cool stuff happened there. And one of the like questions that people would have all the time is, okay, I'm like building this thing and it costs like 100 million gas to like play it, right? And a kind of our philosophy has been like, well, think of blockchains like computers. Computers have gotten better following some laws. There's been like Moore's law, which is kind of like an observation on how the same amount of flops, so floating point operations per dollar, is increasing by a factor of 2 every 18 months. And this is kind of slowing down now after like multiple decades of Moore's law. But it's interesting how computers in general, they just like deterministically get better. And so from our perspective, we're like, well, blockchains are computers. They will automatically get better as well. We have billions of dollars in industry focused on scaling Ethereum. And we kind of like followed that for a long time. We deployed our own test nets and layer 2s. We forked Arbitrum and OP a while ago, and we became friends with them based on that. We really believe in the scaling thesis of Ethereum. The thing is, at some point, we noticed that most of these like scaling companies, if not all of them, have been exclusively focused on the trade-offs that are necessary toward financial applications, which makes sense. I mean, DeFi is the biggest customer of Ethereum in fees spent, in attention, in funding, and it makes sense for them if they're building some form of like general computer to optimize it for DeFi. And just like computers, some are big, some are small, some are in your pocket, some runs on your face, some are inside your brain. You have data centers like Amazon. And we can't really compare computers just objectively being like, oh, one is better than another. This is basically how the whole like L2 scaling space has been. It's just like, oh, which one is the best? Without really thinking a lot about like the trade-offs and all of that. So we've kind of like slightly revised our strategy at Lattice, like over the last year, updated from don't worry about the gas, which is, okay, let's not worry about the gas, but let's also do something about building chains, building computers that are good for on-chain worlds. Because the on-chain worlds and on-chain games as applications have very different requirements and trade-offs than DeFi. They can accept different failure cases. And that's where Redstone comes from. So Redstone is a really long project for us. It's a chain, a network of chains in the future that has been designed for on-chain worlds. The first kind of like significant feature of Redstone is that it's the first rollup with plasma data availability. What this means is that the biggest driver of cost for layer 2s today is posting data on Ethereum. There's a bunch of new solutions that let people post data outside of Ethereum. You might have heard of Celestia, EigenDA, all of these like really clever mechanisms out there. And from our perspective, we think that while all of these things are cool and we're going to need them, on-chain worlds do not need such like basically strong guarantees around data, specifically because these data availability networks are built for the kind of users that want to deposit some funds, disappear from the internet for 1 year, and then come back and expect their funds to still be there. The thing that is interesting with games is that games have a lot of driver behind people wanting to have the state. You want the Strife state on your computer to be able to play over it. You want to like run a node if you're like Orden GG while you play Dark Forest to have faster access to what's going on. And so there's really interesting kind of like difference in terms of the network and the user base of people that play on-chain games. And so Redstone is basically a chain that uses a data availability system that is basically entirely relying on Ethereum. No new consensus, no new permission, DA committee, no restaking in order to be secure. And it's an experiment, right? It's taking some ideas from Plasma, putting them out there and seeing what happens. And we've been very like surprised by kind of like how people have been dealing with this new system. So just as a reminder, like the way a rollup works is you take the data of a chain, right? Like let's say like Optimism mainnet or Arbitrum or whatever, and you put it on L1, right? The difference with Redstone is instead of putting the data on L1, you put a commitment, a cryptographic commitment to that. In practice, what this means is instead of posting like a huge amount of data, instead of storing a huge amount of data in Ethereum as a hard drive, you just put a tiny hash, which is like 32 bytes. So it would, if you were to write it down on paper, it would fit in a couple of lines. Right? That's the amount of data you put on L1. So from a very like naive perspective, this decreases the cost a lot because most of the costs that are given to users for a layer 2 is how much data you put on Ethereum. So if it were that easy, to just put a commitment instead of the whole data, people would do that already. So when it comes to Redstone, the main thing is in order to make it such that not like, yes, we have a commitment of the data on Ethereum, but it's possible to reconstruct that data to get it out from wherever it is to be able to like derive the Redstone chain and make it secure. We've built a data availability challenge system, which very basically allows you to challenge commitments which are like coming from the sequencer and be like, hey, I think that, Redstone's data is not on chain. It's just commitment to it. Most of the time, I can find that data myself because the sequencer and other users are cooperating. But if there's some form of attack on the chain, if some of the data is disappearing, I need to make sure as a user that care about the state of this chain that this data can be made available so I can check its correctness. And so anyone can challenge some state, which is step one. You challenge, you deposit the bond. And there are two possible outcomes that are possible. Either the data is made available on chain by someone, which is essentially equal to turning the chain into a rollup for that small amount of time, and your bond is burned, right? Because you have challenged some state, someone has brought it up, your bond is burned. This is important for the game theory of this. The second possible outcome is you challenge some state or someone else, and actually nobody can bring the state on chain because it's either been lost, there's been a problem with it, the state timeout, that commitment times out, and now this part of the chain is actually skipped in the derivation. That's a very technical terms, but what this means is just that part of the chain is just ignored and we keep going. And this like deceptively simple mechanism, which has been invented a while ago when people were working on Plasma and Plasma Cache, essentially allows anyone to force Redstone to be turned into a rollup over like a certain amount of time if a problem happens. So there's a very similar kind of like system to this that already exists. You might have heard of data availability committees. The way to think about the Plasma Challenge system is that it's like a data availability committee, but instead of having 4 or 5 companies into the DAC, the data availability committee, the entire internet can participate into this system. So instead of having one trusted company in like the few that are part of the DAC in order to make that chain secure, if there's any honest observer outside that actually want the data because they're playing Strife or they're playing Dark Forest or they're playing like whatever game will probably end up on Redstone at some point, they can make the chain secure. So the thing that is interesting is that the work we've done is strictly on liveness. So Redstone is based on the OP stack. Optimism, the company, is like they have been building a system that enforces the security. So one honest person watches the chain to make can ensure the fact that funds can't be stolen. This is how optimistic rollup work. Redstone basically increases this assumption in order to decrease cost. Redstone stipulates that if one honest person watches the DA protocol, they can make sure that the chain has liveness, and liveness means the chain keeps producing blocks. So, and these two things need each other. If you have security but not liveness, you have a chain where nobody can steal your funds, but if it doesn't make blocks anymore, then nobody can withdraw the money. And if you have liveness without security, the chain goes on, but then your funds can be stolen. So it's really important for these two properties to be there together. So one important thing from Redstone is that in order to get this decrease in costs, because there's no free lunch, like what we increase in terms of surface area is that one person needs to watch the DA protocol. And we'll have like more blog posts and explanation of how that works next year. But it's like really the crux of like the trade-off that is being made there. So the thing that is interesting is, okay, if you need one person to watch the chain, watch the DA protocol to make sure it's secure, let's make that as easy as possible. And let's actually see what happens in the wild. And that's where we've been really surprised. So as a reminder, as we communicated during DevConnect, we've built a lot of like open source tooling for like auto challenging and auto resolving state. There's a challenge dashboard where anyone can connect their wallet and challenge the data on this Plasma DA protocol. And all of it is open source, self-hosted. And we were just expecting, people to challenge like once a day, just to try it once a week, or maybe never, because we always we've been making the data available since the beginning because we're really trying this system out. And actually, there's been like, as of today, there's been like 5,746 challenges from people just trying to like probe with the system. None of them have expired. You guys found a lot of bugs in our like resolver. We spent a lot increasing the robustness of it. We've been researching different cost functions to make sure there is no griefing attack. We've also started thinking about increasing the surface area of data fallbacks. And with like even wider ideas, like what does it look like for each mud app? Like let's say you're playing Strife, to seed the data of Redstone to make it available to more people. So it's been really incredible on our side to like put a system out there that relies on game theory and actually have people be involved in it. Like we really didn't expect anyone to look at this and like start playing with it. And we've been like super blown away by like the amount of engagement and like interaction with the protocol so far. So as any new technology, it's going to take us some time to like get that exactly right, get that liveness guarantee exactly right. But it's already like super promising to see that people care, because at the end of the day, layer twos get their security from people caring about them, right? Whether you're an optimistic rollup or ZK rollup, you need people to like audit the proofs, you need people to challenge things, you need people to run nodes. And so it's really great to see that even in a testnet with so much engagement around people caring about the protocol and just playing with it. So as communicating during DevConnect, like our early experiments showed that playing a Strife match, like average fees, which are currently $10 on a normal Marin 2, would go down to $1 on Redstone, which is a 10x improvement. And we've actually spent a bunch of time doing additional R&D and spec, and we think we can squeeze maybe a 10x or 100x improvement over this. Very much TBD. The caveat here is that this is a research problem, but there's like super interesting kind of like possibilities here where we could really bring like a significant cost improvement over that while maintaining the same guarantees. Today, Redstone has been live on the Holsky testnet. When we shipped it, we like already had Strife on there, like season 0. But big shout out to Gold for deploying on Redstone testnet yesterday. It's been super interesting to like find the gaps and the things that were frustrating. And it's like we really want to like see more and more protocols like be on that testnet to make that like as good as possible for people, because at the end of the day, like it's really easy for anyone to build a chain, it's really easy for someone to ship it, but what matters is really to like hone the software down for it to be as easy to use as possible. The same way the data availability challenge contract and dashboard like is only useful if people care about it. It has been really interesting to see people that are not from Lattice deploy on Redstone and like find the issues with that. So props to Gold and the other people for having deployed there so far. Our plans next year is twofold. We want to decrease latency. So the current block time on Redstone is 2 seconds. We have a bunch of different ideas and specs and prototypes for decreasing that latency significantly, especially when coupled with mud. And we want to build deeper mud integration between the chain and the framework. So get ready to see interesting things coming from us on Redstone next year. Will probably be used on Strife first. And this is going to be the major focus. On our side, we're like really focused on getting Redstone mainnet as early as possible in 2024. We are being quite diligent with security, spending a lot of time working with external partners like Optimism to make sure our code is upstreamed. It gets multiple levels of reviews. We do some economic simulation on the challenge contract. We're taking this seriously, but at the same time, like we want it to break right now. That's why we run season 0 of Strife on Redstone Holsky. And once again, like super excited to have seen the community engagement on it, the products that have deployed there, the people that have challenged commitments. keep it up. And to stay in touch, you can get information on the first release on Redstone.xyz, and you can reach out on at lattice.xyz on Twitter with any questions. We'll soon have a form that will circulate around for people that want to deploy on Redstone and learn more about it. And soon we'll have a public spec that will be published on our Notion. So yeah, stay in touch for all of this. Excited to see what's going to happen. And yeah, excited to get it back to Elena for what's next. Let me end this up.
Thank you so much, Ludens. First of all, just wanted to know if we had any questions from the audience.
Yeah, there's some in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Hard
Let's
questions.
see. Okay, I will invite Jami up to speak and ask a question. Jami, I think you have to accept the invite. It doesn't happen automatically. There we go.
Hello.
Let's go. Hello, Jomi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hey. Big Strife fan. On-chain gaming fan. I mean, this might be hard questions, but thoughts on like starting a volition style solution, where I think if you look at the latest proposed update for Starknet, they're proposing stuff where there's actually going to be two different states on the chain, where one is only for like the kind of lower guarantees, and then you can actually like move to a more secure like data availability guarantee if you want to. Have you thought of this at all, or like is that something you've researched at all yet, or like if somebody would want to hold some like rare NFC gaming NFT for years, what would they do? Like if they would want that secure solution that maybe like a data availability committee with challenges doesn't give you yet?
Yep. No, that's a great question. Yeah, I mean the Starknet volition style, I think ZK Sync also has it with ZK Porter. So there's like two kind of like interesting thoughts there. The first one is that if you want to have state that is both like on Ethereum, you know, like with like rollup guarantee, and on a DAC or on a Plasma system in the same chain, that's possible if your trust minimized bridge uses ZK proof. It's a bit harder if you use optimistic proof, because you can't really run the proof if you miss some data. So the way we've been thinking about it so far, I mean, at the end of the day, like Redstone runs on the OP stack. The OP stack currently uses attestation proof, which is just like the sequencer being like, hey, this is the state, and it's verified by the OP collective. It's soon going to migrate to fault proof. That will be permission, just like Arbitrum. So not anyone can start a fault proof. Then you go to like permissionless fault proof. Then you have like multiple kinds of fault proof. Then you have ZK proof with fault proof and so forth. So the spectrum of technical decentralization is very, very large, right? And it's always a work in progress. So the way we've been thinking about it is we want MUD to be able to have its state split on different chain. You know, like you want to have something like a Sky Strife, it's a single world, and the computation and the data should be able to be sharded over multiple chain. And if we think that's going to be at that level, that we would do volition style stuff. So some of the chains would have roll-up data availability, others would have like different systems instead of like within the same chain, because it actually makes it much easier to reason about security from that perspective. But honestly, like no real like plan yet. It's mostly like thoughts we've had, but we're like really curious to see how Starknet and ZK Sync themselves are going to roll that out, because I'd like for them as well, it's mostly specs. It's like a super interesting idea, and
it's a UX problem for sure too.
Yeah,
I've been actually talking with the Starknet and Argent people about this, and it's not yeah, it's a hard. I didn't expect you to have like a clear answer right now. It's definitely something that everybody's figuring out, but it could be a very interesting thing to work on. But yeah, that's all I had. Thank you for giving me a chance to talk.
Thanks.
Thanks, Joey.
We have time for maybe one more question if there's anybody who has one. All right. Well, I will hand it off to Kushaba, who has some fun Sky Strife news and updates for us.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Yes.
All right, let's do it. I have battle.net up. All right, yeah, I was just playing World of Warcraft. Don't worry about it. I have that tweet up. Okay. Let's do this. All right, this is the Sky Strife end of year call. So, for those of you that have been around for a while, Sky Strife has been in development for more than a year. So in January, it was playable. We had a playable version. It was a little bit rough around the edges, but it supported up to 32 players in these massive maps. There were charging crystals all over the maps. There was different types of resources. There were teleporters. It was a unique gaming experience, to say the least. It was very fun, but it was very overwhelming. So we basically spent most of this year cutting. Like we knew that there was a kernel of fun in Strife, but there was a lot there, and for it to be more accessible, for it to be more popular with more people, we needed it to be tighter, like a tighter game loop. So that is how we got to the game we have today, where it is much simpler. There's only a few different units. There's simple maps, and from that tight game loop, we can then expand with more content, more features. So that was in January. That's what it looked like. It was a lot more complicated. We also did Friday playtests almost every week this year. Honestly, they're very stressful, but it is also a forcing function for the team to just get things out the door every Friday. Like, it's always a mad dash Thursday night and Friday morning, even though every single week we say, okay, we're going to code freeze Thursday morning. But it never happens. We always want to squeeze as much as possible out of those Friday playtests, and we super appreciate everyone that shows up. We read every single Discord message. We watch all the games. We look at all the stats. Like, every single thing that happens is important. So thank you so much. And then we moved on to some exciting 2-week playtests throughout the year. The one from September 18th to October 2nd, I believe that one was the first one where we had a persistent world with the introduction of our currency. I don't like naming it. I like just keeping it as the emoji. I'm gonna not even say its name. But yeah, that was a big step forward. It was the first time that like all these matches were kind of linked together into a cohesive world, with the goal of being an autonomous world on full launch. And this also introduced player-created matches. So finally, we didn't have to click an admin button to get the game running. Anyone could come in, and if they had the currency available, they could create matches for themselves. So that was good. That first one had 119 users. That honestly, personally blew me away. Like, that was more support than I ever thought we would get. The Discord was popping. People were playing all the time. We got up to 399 matches played, and it wouldn't be a great playtest if the game didn't crash in the middle of it. The game did crash in the middle of it because, gas problems. Where our match creation cost went to 40 million gas.
Don't worry about the
to
gas.
create one match.
Don't worry.
I'm not worried. I'm not worried.
Don't worry about
Okay,
the gas, bro.
I wasn't worried. Apparently, MetaMask was very worried because MetaMask has a hard limit on 30 million gas for any transaction built in. So you could have played if you weren't using MetaMask, but we forced everyone to use MetaMask. So that was a separate issue. Anyway, we drastically improved the gas performance of Strife because of this playtest, and now match creation is down to 1 million. Unit movement is up to 200k. Like, all these things were multiple millions of gas, but now they are very, very tight. And this was all building up to big tournament in Istanbul. Like, I already know that some people in these pictures are in the chat right now. If you weren't there, I wish I could convey the energy in that room. Like, it really was exciting to see everyone playing live. This was honestly a big highlight in my life. Like, I never thought I would be there and watching people play a game that I had created live and actually enjoying it, actually getting excited about it. So that was a huge motivating factor. Like, it's things like this that gives us the energy to continue development. So once again, thank you so much. And all of this was leading to what I think is the most exciting thing this year was Season 0. So we started with Season 0, and this season and all the subsequent testnet seasons after this are building up to mainnet launch. Like, that is our next big goal, is mainnet launch on mainnet Redstone, and we will get there soon. I'm not going to make any promises, but when it is ready, you will know immediately. But the features of Season 0 is we introduced season passes. We have even more robust gameplay, lots and lots of bug fixes, lots of UI fixes. We've promised a persistent economy, so this is the first time that all of the currency that you're earning from the games are going to carry over throughout every single season on testnet. So no more are they like resetting every Friday or resetting every 2 weeks. Like we can finally see what a real Strife economy looks like. We are starting to build out the ability to deploy things on top of Strife. We saw that initially with the World Explorers League, which was built on top of Strife as an on-chain integration. And yeah, most importantly, like this is a huge stress test of Redstone and our infrastructure. So the season pass inadvertently kicked off a bull run for Holsky ETH. I talked to multiple people who are trying to broker OTC deals for Holsky and spending possibly hundreds of dollars for Holsky. That was not the intention. I'm sorry if you spent hundreds of dollars on Holsky ETH to get the season pass. But I will say there was a method to this madness. We wanted the season pass to be scarce. And if the season pass cost 1 Holsky ETH, literally every single one of you would have had the season pass, and that would have not been a good testing ground to see how season pass holders behave differently. So I'm sorry that it was very expensive. I'm sorry that everyone didn't get to do it, but it was actually a great test for what this might look like on mainnet, where only a certain subset of users are holding the pass. And the engagement with Season 0 truly blew us away. Like we had 1,300 plus registrations, over 1,000 matches, and 170,000 orbs in circulation. And to put that in perspective, like a match is maximum giving out 500 orbs at a time, and one person is probably earning 1 or 200 orbs. So that is a massive amount circulating throughout our economy right now. And we still created most of the matches with this concept of the Sky Pool. We don't have many rights as the developers of Stripe, but we do have the rights to create free matches. We created 60% of those free matches, but the community created a ton of matches as well with 40% of them. So that was exciting to see. And yeah, I don't know if any of you saw this, but GG Quest, World Explorers League, WASDA have been really pushing community initiatives for Strife. They've held multiple tournaments. They had the World Explorers League, which just finished yesterday with the finale. It was very exciting. And I hope to build even more tooling for the community to build things on top. And I'll have a little announcement a bit about that. I know we haven't supported it as much as I want. Strife is not open source. There's a plugin system, but it's not clear how to use it. That will all become clear in time, I promise. And another exciting thing that we got to test out during this season was updating the game on the fly. So no more could we just shut down the world, deploy new contracts, and make all the changes we wanted. Everything we do now needs to be on the same consistent MUD world. This is kind of boring work, but we've built a lot of tooling around this that will also benefit other MUD developers, because this is something everyone's going to do. Everyone's going to have a MUD world. They're going to have to change tables. They're going to have to change values. They're going to have to change systems. This should be really easy to do, and this was honestly a breeze for us, and we're going to have more tooling for the community to do this. So for example, we added gold on kill, and we wanted to modify it live. We did not need to actually upgrade any contracts. That was a simple table value change within a script. So it is, once again, still very easy to build on MUD. Very happy. And here's a few stats. 225k transactions, 108 billion gas used. This is a ridiculous stat, but yeah, it would have cost 4,000 ETH to play this on mainnet, where no one's deploying this on mainnet, I know, but it's just ridiculous to think about that. And then across all these users, only 0.1 ETH was spent on Redstone, and even that could go lower, like Ludens was talking about. Like we really, like the current Redstone testnet is not hyper optimized for cost because it's still fake ETH. but still, you can see the order of magnitude difference here. And here's a little flavor. There was 24,000 kills, 8,000 captures. I think, unsurprisingly, pikemen killed the most units, and knights were both built the most and died the most. I guess it makes sense they died the most if they were built the most. Personally, I'm not a big knight fan, but I hear other people are. I'm curious on people's opinions. I think they're bad. But that's just me. So, okay, next steps for season. We're doing season 0.1 next. Fixes. We are updating the pricing for the season pass. We don't want the season pass price to go to 22,000 Holski ETH, as funny as that is. So we're definitely making it much less scarce in this first season. We have learned about that. Lots of balance changes incoming from both gameplay and maps. We have a ton of analytics to dive into. All the info is on chain, so we can basically go through every single match that's happened. We know exactly how each unit performed, how different areas of the map performed. So we can dive into that and then really make the changes to make the game feel as good as possible. And I can't say much right now, but we do have new content. It is ready to go. We have new maps that are built. We also have the World Explorers map contest maps that we are going to get in as well. We haven't forgotten about those. And big announcement: Strife will be open source in the new year. It will be open. Like, we are finally comfortable open sourcing it because the foundation of the game is not going to change from now on. Like, the systems are pretty much where they will be for mainnet launch, famous last words, but we are ready to have people start building on top. We are going to build writing documentation. We are going to improve the plugin system, and I personally plan on having builder office hours every week, or even multiple times a week, for people who want to build on top of Strife. We really want to make this as easy as possible and as fun as possible for people to use. So I know a lot of you have been asking about this. Thank you for your patience, but we are finally ready to focus on that. And yeah, just want to say big thank you once again. It's been amazing to be a part of this. It's been amazing to see this grow, and I hope you all stick around to see what we have in store for the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kushaba. And also, again, thank you to everybody who organized tournaments and played the game, played in tournaments, got excited about the game. We have time for maybe one or two questions, if there are any from people. Raised hand. I don't see. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay. Jami, are you coming on stage? I think the invite was sent. Or no?
No, it
No
seems
question.
it was a wrong hand
Oh,
raised.
okay. Got it. Let's just ask, when exactly does it go public?
Oh,
Are
I've learned this. Yeah, it will go public when it is ready to go public. I am not going to give a date. I'm sorry.
2024.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. In that case, thank you so much, Kushaba and Alvarius. I will bring you on stage to talk about Mud.
Hello. Let me share my screen. Yep. All right, you should see my screen right now.
Yes, we do. Let's go.
Cool. All right. Okay, so I want to start with a little throwback. So last year in 2022, we built the first version of Mud, basically as an experiment to prove that it's possible to put ECS on chain and to create more complex on-chain games with it more easily. And it worked. The experience worked. The experiment worked out. The developer experience was great. Everyone was happy. But there was a big problem with all of this, which was it wasn't production ready. And there were some fundamental design decisions that made it very inefficient. And so in the beginning of this year, we set out to solve those issues and to allow MUD and all the games that are built with it to go to production. And so the two proposal issues that you see here on the slide, they were opened in January and February this year, and they received a bunch of feedback from the community. They received, I think, over 50 comments, and they're the most discussed issues on the MUD repo so far. And then based on these discussions with the community, we decided to start building MUD 2. And so to quickly summarize the biggest changes, one of the biggest changes were that we realized that ECS as a data model is basically a subset of relational databases, which means that you can still use ECS if you have the power of a relational database. But by supporting relational databases, you also get a much more powerful data model that allows you to break out of the ECS pattern when it is necessary. And then the other big change was that we now have a central entry point into a MUD app, which is the world contract, which allows us to build more functionality into the framework itself instead of having to duplicate that into the logic into every system. And then, of course, the big elephant in the room is there was a lot of gas overhead in MUD 1, and we reduced that to a minimum overhead in MUD 2. And now with that new architecture, we're finally ready for production. So the core of MUD is currently being audited by OpenZeppelin, but thanks to the module architecture, this doesn't mean we can't add more functionality in the future. And in fact, even large parts of the MUD core are implemented as a module, the core module. And so it's really modules all the way down. And so whenever we want to add more functionality, we can do that with a new module. And then if this new module turns out to be important, we can get it audited individually, which means we hopefully never have to change the core MUD API anymore and nothing will break in the future. So this year we went from MUD 1 to MUD 2, from an experiment to production, but we didn't do that alone. So I want to take a moment to thank all of our amazing community of builders and contributors, without who none of this would have been possible. And I want to shout out a couple big contributors. So a special thanks goes to DK1A for a bunch of major contributions to the MUD core, both on the contract side and on the code gen side. And then to Will for, whose username unfortunately doesn't fit on the slide right now. But he helped us with a huge refactor of our entire monorepo to PNPM and also other very, very helpful TypeScript advice. To Buffy, who managed to get some important gas optimizations in just days before the audit code freeze. And to John, who refactored our old deploy script to use the most recent libraries and to change the structure. And there were many more important contributions to the MUD core this year by contributors from the community. We unfortunately don't have time to mention all of them here, but so don't be sad if your name wasn't mentioned here. We know all of you and we appreciate all of you. And we're also really, really thankful for all the MUD integrations and starter kits that were built this year. So we now have Unity built by Lermcher and Nielsen. We have Godot built by Stokarts and Minter's World. We have Svelte built by Mugen. We have Swift built by Cody. And we have a Privy progressive web app template built by Smallbrain. And with all of these integrations this year, it was possible for builders to build a wide range of different MUD apps on different platforms. And we're beyond excited to show a couple of those teaser trailers basically right now. And that's actually already it from my side. I'm not sure if we want to do quick questions or if we just want to dive into the trailers right away.
If there are any questions, let's take them. Does anybody have questions? No questions?
So clear. Let's go. Let's move on, I guess.
Everybody's way too excited for the trailers. Let's go.
Too excited for the trailers.
Okay, let's go.
Too articulate. When you're too articulate, nobody has to ask questions at the end of the day. It's only only Kushaba, basically. Like, the only thing people care is when is Strife going to be released. Like, the other stuff is not that important. So, yeah, Kushaba, you better communicate that. It can't be 2024. It has to be more precise than this.
Right.
It will be released when it is ready. That's all I can say.
All right, you guys.
I think it's still paused.
It's a very long intro.
No, it's paused. So okay, this is kind of like the Game Awards, but you can.
Framework for apps on the EVM, and Zeus is a framework for creating worlds with digital physics on MUD. Digital physics is the design paradigm for on-chain worlds. A creator just deploys resources in space with physics for how they interact. After that, everyone shapes the world together. Anyone can add new objects and new games to this one world. We are building Everlon with Zeus to show how you can have a world where anyone can add games that coexist. For example, builders can build things in the world and post them on social media to get likes and attention. Farmers could choose to feed builders and get points on a leaderboard when they do so. Creatures could train their minds and fight each other to win. Hitmen can claim bounties to chase away the creatures that try to steal food. The point is that all of these different games and stories can be added by anyone to the same world, and they all share the same of space and physics. So Zeus is a framework for digital physics, and you can learn more about us on tenet.aw.
Hello everybody, I'm TaxCuts. I'm one of the co-founders of Promodium. Promodium is a fully on-chain game that is built on top of MUD with a bunch of features such as base building, as you can see here, where you can plop down buildings if you'd like, PvP, which starts from training units, and then later on you can send them out to other players, and as you can see, there's a bunch of other players here as well. We just started the round today, and we had a couple hundred players, which is pretty cool. And also some social elements like trying to climb the leaderboard right here, and also joining alliances to form teams and fight other people. There's also a chat element in which you can socialize with other folks. But yeah, right now in our newest update, we also have a marketplace in which you can see, but so far the round has just started, so not a lot of people have access resources that they can just sell to other people. But we're very grateful for all the support from the MUD team as well as their awesome product. And we're currently releasing updates about once a month, and we hope you stay tuned for what we're going to be doing next.
We are Moving Castles, and we have recently released the beta version of This Cursed Machine, which is a sci-fi horror fulfillment center simulator. In the game, you solve puzzles by reverse engineering complex recipes and use your own body as a large-scale production circuit.
Next year, we will expand the world of This Cursed Machine with many composable minigames so that players can have different roles in this fictional organization and start running the world themselves.
We will leave you with some footage of the actual game to give a sense of what it is.
the GeoWeb is building the augmented reality commons. Think of a three-dimensional, worldwide web stretched across the globe with digital games, art, interactions, and information experienced side by side with the physical world. We're building this because we can't let the coming spatial computing era be ruled by monopolists, siloed apps, and attention economy algorithms. In January, we launched our partial common ownership digital land market, and 100% of the funds from this market are allocated to public goods. We'll have some really exciting developments to share on this front in the new year. Recently, we began transitioning our content publishing layer to on-chain with MUD. We're developing an iOS spatial browser to unlock new AR capabilities. This work includes a Swift MUD client that anyone can use to bring autonomous worlds to the Apple ecosystem. If you're interested in what we're doing, you can join our movement by claiming land on the cadastra at geoweb.land and telling your friends. Thank you, and we look forward to building with you all.
Hey everyone, it's Small Brain from Small Brain Games. What did we not build this year? This year we built Words 3, a word game that was fully on-chain. We built DrawTech, a drawing game that was fully on-chain. In both of them, they're grids where you buy things and play words or draw things. None of it could have been done without the help of the great folks at Lattice. We also built Network States, which is another game with a grid where you move around on the grid, and also that is fully on-chain. And next year, we have some crazy stuff launching, so stay tuned. There'll be something early January, and you literally will never guess what it is. Anyways, peace out, have good holidays, and see you on the blockchain.
Hello, we're really excited to introduce you Aether Sands, our first public playtest. Would like to just dive into the game and just kind of talk about what it's about. Aether Sands is an open world steampunk inspired game where players mint an NFT to build and evolve a new civilization through resource management. As you can see, you start off in an empty map, and first things first, you will deploy a temple with a magical seed, and each seed contains a unique tree that you can evolve and grow. Every tree has its unique traits and types, so that as you continue to progress through the game, you can kind of evolve your tree to see what it could look like. There's some additional utilities that you can do, such as equipping artifacts and stuff. Really excited for the first playtest. Please follow us and let us know. Thank you.
Welcome to Gaul. We're a multiplayer puzzle game being built with Unity and MUD, and for the last 6 months, we've been creating a vision of a 3D game in which players navigate a treacherous grid to build an eternal road on-chain. At the moment, we've been playtesting on the Lattice testnets with a plan to launch early next year. The project's fully open source, and we've also created a framework called Unimud to help people get started building 3D on-chain worlds. I want to thank the community, and especially Lattice, for an amazing year, and we look forward to more autonomous worlds in 2024.
That is it for our presentations. They were absolutely incredible. So thank you everybody who submitted a video. And now we just have a couple of things to wrap up. Let me pull up that. Here we go. So thank you all for coming to our call. Just a couple of items to keep on your mind for the new year. If you have a project that you'd like to deploy, you should definitely think about deploying it on Redstone Holsky. We'll have our developers and everybody back in the new year to answer your questions and help you along the way if you need any help. Strife comes back on January 8th. and runs until January 31st. So be on the lookout for more season passes and more announcements. Our newsletter, you can find at lattice.xyz/newsletter to sign up. And we'll be in touch with updates with the newsletter in the new year. And then check out status.mud.dev and community.mud.dev if you want to keep a pulse on things that are happening either with Mud, the software directly, or across the entire ecosystem and games that are being built. We're also going to be working on a Mud project supercut using the videos that were submitted for this call, and then also any other video that people want to submit. You guys can submit those to me at vera@lattice.xyz. And just wanted to say thank you again to our entire community across everybody, people who make PRs on Mud, make integrations for Mud, people who play Strife, run tournaments for Strife, are part of leagues, people who are building integrations and plugins, and of course, people who are building games with Mud. And then we also have a small group of people who are beginning to deploy on Redstone. So thank you to everybody who makes our work possible. And that is it for the call. Do we have any final words from people on stage?
Happy holiday, everybody. Thanks for believing in the autonomous world dream, and see you guys next year. Thanks again for tuning in for this. This was pretty fun and pretty special to put this together. Andy, when is Strife gonna ship?
Oh, you're breaking up. I'm losing my internet.
I was gonna say, when is
I didn't-
Strife gonna ship?
I know, I'm kidding.
All right, thanks everybody. We're probably gonna leave it up there. Thanks again, Vera, for running this. I love the energy. It's like the Game Awards, and we have like the GTA 6 trailer, but it's with like a video budget of literally $0. So it was really amazing to kind of like put that together. Thanks again for watching, and see you next year, guys. See ya. Ciao. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. And the recording will be available, so you can share it with your friends. See you guys.